anyone ever tell you that this country isn't great, that somehow we need to make it great again, because this right now is the greatest country on earth.
This is your president. In the past 10 years, I have fooled all of you into believing the socialist ideology of everyone is equal. How? By making everyone believe the lie and having destroyed our nation's sovereignty. Through communism, we will all be a unified global government of acceptance by making everyone have the same thing. You won't be an American, you won't be a citizen anymore. You will be the same as your dog, your neighbors in Mexico. If all have nothing, then all will be equal. That is the purpose of socialism. You are nothing unless the government tells you who or what you are. Don't pretend you don't know what I've been doing. I brainwashed you through high-definition television. You are truly the walking dead. If I told you to give up your freedoms, you would. But it's already happened, so I don't need to keep convincing you. You all are vegetables now anyway. Oh, by the way, if you can't see that I'm the Antichrist, then there's no reason anymore to tell you what must be done next, because you'll be hunted down with the Christians and exterminated for not believing me, not accepting who I am. I'm your Messiah, your Imam Mahdi. April 23rd, 2018, I told the world, but it wasn't time yet to bring out who I am. So the conspiracy must continue against Trump until that is accomplished. The rapture must happen first. Remember always that I made narcotics legal. I made every kind accessible. I made this addicted nation a reality through suicide, overdoses, you name it. I did that. Ever wonder how I control everything you see and hear? I own the media. I have since I took over in 2009. I laugh when I see Republicans standing next to each other without a word. They can't. I control what they see, what they hear. Want truth, facts? Forget it. I am your whole world now. If life means anything today, it won't under the global system I've initiated since I became president in 2009. My legions accept whatever I tell them to do. You will too, or you'll be hunted down with the rest and exterminated. It's as simple as that. Accept and obey, or resist and die. I am your hope for tomorrow. I am your president. There is only one outcome: world domination. Either you'll accept me or be taken out. It's time to take a stand for one or the other. Me or freedom and liberty. Remember Adolf Hitler, freedom is a lie. Enslavement is acceptance.
Where are you, Kate? Down. The other tower just went down.
Power's down. Second tower's down.
Got another tower that went down, kid? The other tower's down. Another tower's down! From me! The tower's down! Get away from me! Get away from me! The house is down!
And we will decriminalize marijuana, and we will expunge the records of those who have been convicted of marijuana. This is a time for leadership on a tragic issue
Senator Harris,
of unarmed black people in America who have been killed.
Senator Harris.
I'm Patrick McGugan, John Drake, but you also know me as number 6. Who was I really? I represented you, the private citizen. It was symbolism of the socialist world order we see today. You didn't get it, did you? Now we all are facing this reality, that all are controlled by the New World Order.
We should never allow the government to decide what is acceptable speech and what is unacceptable speech. We should penalize behaviors, not opinions, and not speech. If you start trying to regulate speech, start trying to regulate thoughts, start trying to regulate beliefs rather than behaviors, there's no way that you're not going to abridge the constitutional rights of millions of Americans.
We hold ourselves to be self-evident that all men were created equal, that they were endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In this nation today, socialism has killed all three of those rights. Life has been snuffed out through abortion. Liberty has now been snuffed out because of the communist socialist Democrats. The only thing that's left is happiness. When is the last time you ever felt happy, even before the coronavirus? The coronavirus was a total and complete activated event by the Communist Party. The socialists orchestrated it through China, and then it was spread throughout the entire world. Why did they do this? Why would they kill people? Well, in history, there's only one true fact. Death is inevitable for people who want world domination. Adolf Hitler did. How many millions of Jewish people died in the concentration camps? Millions. How many people died in Jonestown, Guyana, when Jim Jones killed all of his followers? 1,000 people died there. In all the events in history, including Waco, the Oklahoma bombing, these were not isolated events. These are the socialists using people to perpetrate the evil that they have now progressed to the point of using against our entire country. They are now using Me Too, the protests of the blacks, the homosexual movement, the hatred of the entire American public. This is what the socialists, George Soros, and so many other people are doing to our country right now. They are attacking certain geographical areas of the United States, specifically the South, because the Northerners have hated the fact that even though they won the war, the Southern culture continued. They did not want the South to continue as a region of the United States. Do you hear at all during these events of them tearing down Confederate monuments that they're doing that in the northern states? No. They aren't touching any of the northern monuments. If there was going to be equality, they would have torn down every monument in the north. That includes Grant. That includes all the other monuments. And I also include this. Martin Luther King has monuments, and those are detestable to several different people. And yet, what do they say? Oh no, we can't do that to the blacks. The blacks have to have their monuments, but everybody else cannot have them. Now, if they had Muslim monuments in this country, which probably will happen, they won't touch those. They won't touch the Buddhists. They won't touch any other monument other than the Confederate monuments. And then the next thing, folks, they're going to attack are the Christian monuments. This means every church, every cross. This will never end as far as the hatred that the Communist Party, the Socialist Democrats have against this nation. They will continually destroy every single facet of what America was at one time. When they have completed this process, the only inevitable outcome will be people will be shooting themselves in the streets. You don't believe that? Look at what they're doing right now. Biden himself is saying we're going to eliminate the First Amendment. That would be the end of our constitutional rights of free speech. That will also include the elimination of religion. They are not going to allow Christianity to continue in this country. Christians will be attacked. They won't do it to the Muslims. You don't hear them saying anything about Muslims kill because it's a part of their Quran. But they use that same philosophy against Christianity and say that Jesus taught hate. That is an absolute lie. He never taught hate. He taught love. He taught togetherness in unity. Now that's what President Trump was trying to do for the 4 years he was our president. People only kept saying, oh, he's an idiot, he's any kind of an excuse they could have. There was one outcome for that, and that was what happened on Election Day. They had the blacks to go out and vote across the country, and then they created all of these false ballots. People who had died, they used their names to create all these fake mail-in ballots. They did all these other things that President Trump even told everybody was going to happen before the election. The socialists just laughed it off, and all they were doing was saying, you know what, you're absolutely right, that's what we're doing, what we're going to do, but we're not going to tell you that. We're not going to tell the American public that until it's too late. And now you see in the Communist Socialist Party adamantly saying we're going to just totally eradicate everything else. Folks, this is your last chance as an American citizen to call yourself an American citizen. If you allow the Socialists and the Communist Party of the Democrats to do what they're going to do to this country, every single city in the United States will be a sanctuary. Every state in the Union will be a sanctuary. This means they can go out at will and kill anybody they want to with a gun, with a knife, with anything. That means your freedom to protect yourself with a weapon is going to be totally eliminated. They've been saying that. We don't need police. We don't need law and order. Barack Obama said it for 8 years. You don't need a gun to protect yourself. Everything that they have been saying, folks, for the last decade is coming to pass. It's happening. This is their idea of social change. If they eliminate everything, all they're going to do, folks, is let the blacks take everything you have, including your car, your family, your personal possessions, your food in your house. They're going to just come in and they're going to take everything. And what are you going to do, folks? You can't do anything if they've taken your weapon out of your house. There are some states, I know Virginia, they had their Congress and their legislators saying we're going to totally ban weapons in this state. Well, when that happened, folks, you remember all of those people came out with their weapons and their guns and they went to the Capitol and they said, you're not taking my gun. Well, then the legislators changed their minds and said, well, maybe it's too soon for us to say that. In other words, they had already planned. The socialists were saying even then, we're going to take their weapons, but if we do it too fast, there's going to be something that's called a coup. A coup is something whereby the peoples of a nation rise up and they fight against the government who takes those rights away from them. Now, the United States and the Communist Party think there is no such thing as a coup because people have no will to fight. They have no reason to retaliate against the government because it gives them drugs, it gives them a free paycheck, it gives them all these things. Now, totally eliminate from the equation right now coronavirus. Coronavirus is a means to an end. The socialists, the communists are using this. Now, you're going to say, well, yeah, but there are cases all over the country. Wake-up call. What happens if the government and the Communist Party use certain biological groups of people using biological weapons and they release them in certain cities? Then you have these increases in cases in certain areas. That's not Trump, folks. That's the Communist Socialist Democrats. They're the ones perpetrating the coronavirus, and they're using it in certain regions where they know the higher the numbers are, the more they can totally shut down those governments, those city governments. Creates more panic, creates more total chaos, and these are all ends to a means to the socialists and the communists to destroy what we are as Americans, to totally make us subjected under the New World Order communist government. You have the right as an American citizen to stand up for your rights as an American. If you give those rights away to the communists, you're saying, I don't care what happens to this nation. I don't care what happens to me. I don't care what happens to whatever is going to happen in this country in the future. Ladies and gentlemen watching and hearing my voice, you are your own leader. America itself was founded and created for one reason, because the American people fought for their freedoms and their liberty. The United States government is not going to protect you. It's not going to use the military to protect you, because too many of them now make up the Socialist Communist world order. And these are the people that are using every opportunity and every kind of trick up their sleeves to create this. You are the last person left in the equation who can still do something to stop what's happening right now. And I'm not saying write to your congressman. The Republican Party have been shown to be as corrupt as the Democrats themselves, because in the 4 years President Trump has been the president of this country, the Republican Party, 90%, if not more, have done nothing to help President Trump. If you notice, there was Mitt Romney, who stood up against President Trump during the actual impeachment. You had several other people. I can't get into their names, but I'm going to tell you flat out, there is more Republicans who are with the Democrats who have hated President Trump and said, we want socialism, we want communism. Those are the people who are right now destroying our country. I'm not saying get them out of office. I'm saying you as an American fight for your rights. And if it means going to the state capitol wherever you live and you telling the government itself, we are not going to be subjected and we're not going to be controlled by a global government. We're not going to be controlled by a communist regime of democratic socialists in this country. If you tell them that and enough people do it together, you will cause such a revolution, such a change in the perceptions that Americans are still willing to fight. They're still very much aware of what the communists are doing to us. You can make a difference. You can change this whole thing that the socialists are doing. President Trump, you may not like what he said, but he did what he said he would do. Joe Biden will never do anything for this country except to continue the things that Barack Obama started. For 8 years, he subjugated to this country one philosophy, socialism. He never has said again he's a socialist, but he doesn't have to, because everything he's done proves through his actions, through his attitudes, through his statements that he has said, through the Democratic Socialist Party since Barack Obama left office, he has still controlled the Democratic Socialists in Washington. He has done things to this country, folks. You think it's just too late. Nothing is ever impossible. I'll tell you why. Because God said to us in His holy word, with God anything is possible. Man himself can do nothing. That's why everybody should pray. Pray and ask that God intervene for this country and get us out of the mess we're in with the Socialist Communist Party. And that is the Democrats. The Democrats are behind this whole facade. You take a chance at protecting your family's lives, you're going to do more for their welfare and their well-being than you'll ever think you're doing for your country. But in the scope of it, you're doing more for this country because you're standing up for your rights, you're standing up for your freedoms, you are standing up for yourself. If you cower and you go into a pit, into a hole like Saddam Hussein did after he saw he lost the war in the Gulf, they found him. They found him in a hole, and his own people had him executed. They had him hung, beheaded. I don't know what all the Muslims do to their people. But I'm telling you, Joe Biden is not above the law. Neither is Barack Obama. The law is still, at this point, still in place. We can still make a difference. We can still do something as American citizens to stop this insanity. The coronavirus is something that people are scared to death about. But I'm going to tell you, instead of worrying about getting that vaccine shot, you think about what is this whole concept. What is the socialists doing through all these different things? They're keeping you in a total disarray of a mentality, because now you don't see what they're doing to us. You're thinking about the coronavirus is out of control. Is that true of any other nation? In most countries in Europe, they do have higher cases, but not anything compared to America, because the communists are controlling everything happening. They're the ones instigating this. They're bringing these things to a head. And you can make that difference. You are an American citizen. Now, illegals were brought here for the real purpose of creating fake ballots, fake votes. They got every single Mexican name and they put them on the registers and said, you guys go out and vote. That'll create so many numbers and so many votes for Biden that as a result of it, we can finally destroy this nation and what it is and what it stands for. And the Mexicans came into this country in droves to do that very thing. Now, when the Muslims, let's say this, when the Mexicans find out what they've done, that this is not the land of opportunity that they all came here for, they're going to run so fast across that border again. But I'm going to tell you, when the communists take over this country, they're going to use the Border Patrol to stop Mexicans from leaving the United States, because they got to still have people to pay into the government. They're not going to be able to get it from the people who are going to stand up to them, because we'll all be put in those FEMA camps. If you don't fight now, you are doomed as an American citizen. You will be eliminated from the equation if you stand up for yourself. We have to start it now. We have to take a stance today. We have to fight for our freedoms, our liberties, our rights as an American citizens. And you can't let the socialists, you can't let the Democratic communists tell you you are what we tell you you are. You can laugh about all the videos I've done where I've shown Barack Obama telling you these things. But folks, this is reality today. The communists are taking over. You let them take over, then it's your fault and nobody else's. Because the United States as a nation was never a free country until it fought against the British. And then we gained our independence. That's what's happening now. This is a fight within our own borders. From the Communist Party, from the Socialist Party. This is a total and deliberate attack against our individual rights and our freedoms. And I'll tell you, the Japanese who suffered during the Hiroshima and Nagasaki attacks said this to the American public and to the world. If we ever take over America, they said it would have to come from within its own borders. We are seeing that. But it's not the Japanese attacking us, folks. It's the communists. It's the socialists. They're doing this, folks. It's up to you now. You have to take the responsibility. It cannot be the government. It's the government who's corrupt. Your politicians are corrupt. You've seen that for the last 4 years. President Trump is in a situation where he wants to be able to do what's right, but the communists have hated him since the first day he was elected as president. They have attacked him consistently, unrelentlessly, every single day since President Trump became president. They have attacked him. They have attacked him. Can you imagine what that must feel like to be a human being and be under that kind of hatred by somebody, by a sadist who call themselves liberals? Liberals are communists, folks. They're socialists. And the socialist rhetoric is one thing: world domination, total and complete control of everything. And just look in your history book under Adolf Hitler. What was he? He was a national socialist, and he made no bones about that. And it's right there in history, and all you got to do is read it. Barack Obama is a national socialist. Joe Biden is a socialist. Kamala Harris is a socialist. Hillary Clinton is a socialist. For crying out loud, folks. If you don't see reality, then you're totally brainwashed. And that means there's no hope for our country anymore. But I'm not going to stop fighting myself. I'm going to fight until the end, because I agree and I support President Trump and I support what he has done for this country. And I'm not going to let a socialist communist come into my home and say, we're going to take everything you have, because the blacks, the homosexuals, the gays, the Muslims, the radicals, all the rest of these people say, you don't have the right to those things anymore. And I say, if I earned those things and I paid for them, I'm entitled to those things. And the communists are not going to take it away from me, and neither are the socialists. If the socialists think that people who don't want to work are entitled to things, you are crazy. And that's the foundation of America. You worked for what you have. That's what capitalism is. Capitalism, free markets, the free enterprise. The socialists don't want those things because they don't want you to be people anymore. They want you to be robots. They want you to just accept what they tell you to. It's time for America to stand up for itself. It's time for us to take individual freedom and say, this is my rights on the line. This is my life on the line. If your son, if your daughter can fight for you in the military, you surely can fight for your own rights in your country and not give it away and say, oh, they'll take care of me. No, it's not going to be them. It's you. You have to make that decision. If you don't, this is the end of America.
I'm going to sing a song about a square, and I want you to look all around your room for one. But remember, a square has 4 straight sides, and each side is just as long as the other, and it has 4 corners that are the same size. One, 2, 3, 4. There's a square out there. Can you guess the square? Do you think that you can find it? You must be aware of the shape of a square if you really want to find it. So look with care for the shape of a square.
You can come and fly now. You can come and fly now. Come into the door. ما مرضنيش.
قديش عمرك؟
4 سنين.
you.